Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's edition of Houston County News. I'm messenger reporter Greg Ritchie. It's so nice to have you along with us. And we're going to be talking about our local schools today and the grades that have just come out from last school year. Some interesting stuff in there. And, of course, we're also going to be talking a little bit about some of the social media comments about them, some of the politics around them. But I think you'll enjoy that. Also joining us on the show, Grapeland Principal John Sherrill, who helped move that high school from a 70-something to a 90. And so I thought we'd have him come on and give us some of his experience about how that was and what's up next for Grapeland. Before we start, I do want to say the wife and I were invited to the soft opening this week of Chuck's Fried Chicken there on South 4th Street in Crockett. And we thought it was absolutely amazing. Now, I saw some social media posts by people who weren't all that happy with it, and that's fine. I'm no restaurant critic or anything. I enjoy a good meal, I'll admit to that, but it's about the end of my expertise on anything like that. But I will say it's nice to have them open. And the same with our friends at Terrapin Deli and Joe's Italian Restaurant and all the other great businesses. You know, we might want to support them and not do so much complaining about them and be thankful and grateful to our Heavenly Father that we have new resources and new options and new fun things to do here. We recently welcomed Harbor Freight. And, you know, these are important milestones in our little city. And one of the things, you know, we do a best of businesses survey every year in the newspaper. And one of the things in the comments we get all the time is we need a chicken place. Oh, we need a chicken place. Well, hey, we have a chicken place. So let's be happy and understand they're going to get things right and get things wrong like any other business. But I was happy to see some of the positivity about it and a little disappointed to see some of the negativity only because who does that help? But anyway, more about that at some point down the road in the future. We are going to start the show, and we're going to do it right after this. This week's Houston County News brought to you by Houston County Hot Tax Funds, supporting economic development and tourism in Houston County. By Darling Ingredients, supporting our local ag students and ag programs. By Houston County Electric Co-op, power for your way of life. By the City of Crockett, Paradise in the Pines. By Davy Crockett Drug, legendary service from an old friend. By Circle T Feed, where customers aren't just customers, they're friends. By Davy Crockett Grill, comfort you can taste. And by Dr. Mike McLeod and the good people at Texas Family Doctor.
Protecting nature starts by acting like nature, giving every end a new beginning. And at Darling Ingredients, that's exactly what we've been doing for over 140 years. We challenge the waste mindset by applying the same circularity found in nature to everything we do, all while providing a whole new cycle of good that's born from the old, exactly as nature intended.
The City of Crockett announces it's preparing to replace aging water lines along East Houston and East Goliad Avenues from the downtown square to Loop 304. The 4-inch cast iron lines, installed in the 1940s, will be replaced with 8-inch C900 PVC pipe. About half the route will be replaced by bursting the existing line in place. Where the roads widen, the new line will move into a city easement. New valves and meter connections will also be installed. The $3.4 million project will be split equally between a Texas Water Development Board grant and zero-interest loan. Bids are expected in late September or early October, with a November City Council award. Construction is expected to begin in early 2027 after a December pre-construction conference and a notice to proceed. The project should take about 10 months. TxDOT, which maintains both state highways, plans new pavement in late 2027. This notice brought to you by the City of Crockett, Paradise in the Pines. So, of course, we had in the newspaper this week, the TEA, basically school accountability ratings came out. kind of like the report card for a school. Now, there's some debate on this, and it's important to point this out. And some of the online comments I saw were sort of, aimed at us for reporting it. We didn't give these schools these grades. This is by the state of Texas. It comes a lot from the STAR test that students are forced to take every year. Forced to take, lucky to take, however your point of view is. It also comes from things like if they're ready for careers or military or college after high school. It comes from taking in absenteeism. There's a whole lot that goes into it. But and we're going to ask Mr. Sherrill here in a few minutes when he comes on his take on it. But there's some debate over whether or not this is an accurate snapshot of a school or even a school district. I'll leave that up to you. Probably not at the end of the day. Any high school in our area is hundreds of kids with hundreds of situations, dozens of teachers, good days and bad, good marks, bad grades, and everything in between. But as it is right now, it's the only thing we have from the state of Texas that gives us some kind of a benchmark that we can at least compare ourselves to either in previous years or in future years. In other words, maybe a C should have been a B. But if it was a D last year, then at least we feel like we're improving. That sort of makes sense. But anyway, I want to go through them with you quickly here and just have a look at each of our local schools. We start with Crockett, who is up from last year, up to 68 now. Academic growth actually rose 5 points. Which is showing improvement there. Student achievement is at 63. It looks like the campus got a B at Crockett High School, which is an amazing growth for them, an F at Crockett Elementary. And I want to say I saw an online post by somebody sort of mocking that F at the elementary. And nobody wants an F on a report card, let's be honest about that. But, it got me thinking, if you bring kids in, unmolded, unfiltered, unrefined at the elementary, and you get an F. And by the time you work them to the high school level, you've got a B. Well, that's pretty amazing. So I personally interpreted that very differently. But for me, that's a pretty good swing. You talk about the health of our area here. As goes Crockett, so goes Houston County. That's just all there is to it. And in a lot of ways, in business, economic development, real estate, as go Crockett schools, so goes Crockett. And so I think it's important to support Crockett. I think they're on I'm going to predict that they're on a surprising path. And I'm going to say within a couple years, these grades are going to be much higher and much different. I think they're doing very well. And they've got a lot of the right parts in place now. It's always going to be tough. This is a tough area. We don't have the funds that the big areas have and the big cities have. And, we don't have the incomes that people have in a Woodlands or one of these areas. So we're always going to be struggling here. But within those struggles, we're already seeing some pretty amazing numbers come out. All right, now moving on to Grapeland ISD, and I don't want to steal any thunder, so we'll leave the high school grade, but they did get an A. Junior high was at 77. The elementary looked like they were at a 69. A C overall. Reading outperforming math, actually, which is pretty good there, and 87% four-year graduation rate there, and six-year rate was 95%. Lovelady came in strong with a solid B. That's basically matching their last 2 years. Junior high and high school combined, they combined those in Lovelady's case, 93 points. And Lovelady Elementary scoring a 73. Again, we're seeing the elementaries coming in lower, which is understandable because kids are just getting into school and getting their feet wet. Student achievement, 85, B for closing the gap. And 96% attendance rate, which is pretty amazing, and 4- and 5-year graduation rates, 100%. So good for Lovelady on that. Now, Kennard came in just below the B rate. That's really considered a B, so 79 there. Still good grades for student achievement, school progress. Now, when it comes to the Kennard, they don't rank the elementary and the high school separately. They rank them together, so there's really no way to see what grades are doing better than others in that sense. But Kennard, again, is one of our local schools that has really made some great progress the last few years. I think that's going to consider. They've got a new superintendent out there, Chad Smith, who I think has some really good plans, and we're looking forward to seeing what they bring us next year. Houston County livestock thrive on feed from Circle T Feed in Crockett. From cattle and horses to chickens and goats, and all animals in between. Circle T Feeds got the feed and feeders to keep your animals healthy. From one to a herd of hundreds. Come by Circle T Feed and let us help you find the right nutrients for your livestock. Circle T Feed, where customers are not just customers, they're friends. At Davy Crockett Grill, we got the appetizers. Unique apps meant to share, like the Southwestern egg rolls, fried mushrooms, or those fat boy fully loaded fries. Can't decide? Order our Choose 2 appetizer and mix and match, like onion rings and boudin balls. Or try the new shrimp cocktail. And don't you dare miss our Bama sauce.
Come see us at Davy Crockett Grill.
For comfort you can taste.
And a quick note now for our viewers. Some important meetings coming up this week. Monday evening at 6 o'clock at City Hall, Crockett City Council, with a public hearing on the 2026 tax rate. Also covered in that meeting are changes to garbage and water rates. That's 6 p.m. Monday night at Crockett City Hall in downtown Crockett. Also, Tuesday morning, Houston County Commissioners Court meeting at 9 a.m. at the County Annex Building. And that meeting will have a budget workshop as well. A lot of road projects, also projects for the jail and sheriff's department are on the agenda. Again, that meeting begins Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Moving on to Letexa. Letexa remains at a C with 76. High school was a C at 79. Almost a B there. Letexa Elementary had a 72. Again, the elementaries are holding things back a little bit. I think that's kind of normal. Academic growth was at a 60, closing the gap 68. Four-year graduation was 97%. Now, when it comes to Letexa in particular, a lot of people have confused or accused, I should say, the newspaper of having a bias against Letexa. That's fine. That's fair for people to say. I understand that. There are some issues at Letexa, and I want to be very clear about that. This is not, at least not for me, it's not personal. When we try to get information and we don't get information, that's when I worry. I reached out to the principal of the high school. I reached out to the superintendent for comment. Neither called me back. That's fine. That's a prerogative. Earlier in the year, I wanted to get some information about their sports programs. I sent them a public information request. And instead of sending me, again, this is nothing in particular about Letexa. This is nothing concerning any students or any secret plans or programs. These are just normal school records. Hey, it's our tax money. And instead of sending me the records, they appealed it to the Texas Attorney General, which, again, seems odd to me, but fair enough. It took about a month. The Attorney General, of course, ruled in my favor, in our favor of the newspaper. This is obviously public information. They waited until the last day. The Attorney General stipulated they had to turn over the records. And I'll just give you a couple screenshots here of what they turned over just to have a look at it and sort of see for yourself. So, again, I don't accuse anyone of anything, but I have been doing this job long enough that when you see historical grades move in this direction, when there's a lack of response, when simple information is if not hidden, at least put behind walls. It's concerning, and not just to myself, and not just to the newspaper. It's concerning to others as well, and it's a sad situation. It shouldn't be that way, but anyway, that's where it is. More after this.
We have to allow data centers to apply. We cannot discriminate. We are a utility. Anybody who wants electric service and applies for electric service, we have to do our best to serve them. That doesn't mean that it's for free. They have to pay the cost of whatever that interconnection is, but we are required by law to serve all applicants and provide electricity to anyone. There is enough electricity at this time, and there is more generation coming online. There are requirements for data centers in that study process to ensure that there's adequate not only transmission capacity but generation capacity to serve that load. The data center applicant would pay for all required upgrades. There are no cost shifts to any other consumer classes. Houston County Electric Cooperative, power for your way of life.
Stay in touch with your county government and get information about everything from law enforcement to the County Historical Commission. Visit co.houston.tx.us and get connected to Houston County. From tax and election information to updates from the county sheriff and local courts, you'll find contact numbers, addresses, and many of your questions answered right there on the website. From tax information to emergency management, click on co.houston.tx.us. Keep in touch with Houston County, first in Texas, first in our hearts. Well, folks, welcome back to the show, and we have a special guest with us, Grapeland High School Principal, I should say, John Sherrill. Mrs. Sherrill, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for waking up early and doing this. And this is actually take two, as we had some door issues getting into our little studio, but we'll leave that aside. I wanted to have you on the show, first of all, because I spoke with you about a year ago, I guess.
Yes, sir.
A little more a year ago when you first came to Grapeland. But we had some really good news.
Yes, sir.
And these recent ratings that we went over at the high school, and maybe you could tell us about what goes in the secret sauce for that success.
No, we're so excited. Yes, we had a goal at Grapeland High School to open doors, as it were, and create opportunities for success for kids. And we really saw our previous year's scores were around 73. So that's a C according to Texas ratings. Yeah. And so we just wanted to see if we can make intentional efforts to close those gaps with each kid, to have purposeful learning and productive struggle is one of the terms that we use all throughout the year, to see how high we could really push this thing. And we made the first A in school history.
Well, it's absolutely amazing, and we were really happy to be able to highlight it. When you got to Grapeland, so this is your first time in a new town.
Yes, sir.
Obviously a tight-knit, very supportive community,
yes,
but
sir.
It's a big club and you ain't in it yet.
You're right.
What were your expectations? What were the first things you were looking for last year when you came on?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the first things that I did, I looked around to see who were the supporters, who were those that saw the potential in Grapeland, because when I came, I saw potential in Grapeland. Yeah. And so what are those things, who are those Sherpas, if you will, that you can really lean into? And our instructional leadership team, so that makes up our instructional coaches, which is Abby Nucci, Melissa Welch, Heather Wood. We were on board for some changes to happen. And right. So finding those strategies to really push the teachers, and this was in July before the teachers ever came back. Then I met the teachers, and I thought, man, we've got something special here.
Well, when you're going through this process, there are obviously things that needed to change, and the grade, I think, reflects that. I think that's fair.
Yes, sir.
At the same time, you can't go too far. You
right.
can't tip that. So how did you, I guess, walk us through how you found that sort of the secret sauce.
Yeah.
The A.
How do you
hidden-
push the ship without pushing it over?
Yes, exactly.
So, one of the things that just kind of the way I work in my leadership style, I work in systems. And so if there's something that is deficient, rather than addressing the symptom, what is it systemically that we can do to improve? Right. And so we looked at initiatives for attendance. We looked at initiatives for grades. We started student conferences. So, what we found was many of our students didn't know what they made on the STAR test the year before. And so just giving them that baseline knowledge and saying, hey, this is how you get points on the STAR test, and you were actually, X number of points away. Here's how you could do that,
right.
And really setting that expectation. We did that early on.
Now, there's a big debate going on, I know, in education, and amongst a lot of the parents, to be fair, about the emphasis on the STAR test itself.
Yes, sir.
I've heard two sides of the argument. One is, well, all they do is teach the test all year.
Absolutely.
The other is, well, that's okay because the test is a good measure of, and everything in between.
Right.
I find some school administrators, it depends on what grade they got, whether the test is good or not.
That's fair.
Which
fair.
happens.
Yes,
but what is your? I know these grades don't show everything, obviously.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
But what is your opinion of that?
So at the outset, let me say this is a snapshot of one day of what we can do on this test that continues to morph, and so it's not apples to apples year to year. So
and sometimes they don't let you know it's changing. It just sort of
that's exactly right.
It changes, yeah.
And then the goalpost changes sometimes even after you take the test.
Yeah.
And so, but to answer your question pointedly, I do think that there is a valid reason for accountability. Of course, we need to know. We have 5.5 million kids in the state of Texas, so we need to know how they're doing on an annual basis, and we need to know if the state and the legislature is holding us accountable for teaching the kids.
Right.
Are we doing that to a level of satisfaction? Now, I think it's fair to say that if your perception of the test is going to be influenced on the accountability grades you receive.
Sure.
There's so much more than just that day. There's when we started to make changes to see growth, that didn't happen on STAR test day. That is a culmination of everything you do in the year, and maybe some luck and some prayers sprinkled in at the end. So.
For sure. Well, and every school's got its distinct challenges. Obviously, in Houston County, we have a large proportion of students who, suffer more in the socioeconomic range,
Absolutely.
let's say.
Yeah.
What has been specific to Grapeland that you've found now that you've become sort of one of our own?
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think that just compared to some other communities I've been in where that socioeconomic status might be a little higher, it is a challenge to have tutoring sessions or to have those out of school events. Not that we're not supportive, but we don't always know how to support.
Right.
And so
Right.
Providing that information to parents, and I have a Remind app that I send out notes to parents, a lot of throughout the school year. This is what we can do to improve. This is what, and then just building that communication with teachers and parents. One thing we do at Grapeland, we in the first week we do the first 5 phone calls, and so they have to be positive phone calls that we reach out to the community, and we want to emphasize the good things that are happening in that first week. And it's not to placate or anything, but it's to build that relationship because we're going to need that relationship throughout the year.
Sandy pride never dies, they say.
Sandy pride never dies.
How has your first year been in Grapeland? Not just with the students and parents, but the wider community and churches and.
Well, I have absolutely loved it. Coming from the Amarillo area, we had a hard time getting our footing, trying to find somewhere to live in the first. Honestly, the housing market's tough here.
It is.
But I will tell you, every person that we encountered in that ride has just been gracious and hospitable. They've welcomed my family in, and I have kids. I have 5 kids, so I have kids at each level of high school, junior high, and elementary.
Wow.
Yeah, and so every teacher that we've encountered, though, has engaged our kids, loved our kids, and pushed our kids, and that's what I hope that we do every day.
And I spoke with Miss Nucci for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But how's the morale?
It's
amongst
through the
master
roof
teachers?
right now. Absolutely. No, probably about 10 days ago now, I got to stand in front of the staff who received a 73 last year, and I told them, I said, guys, I said, first of all, I got to apologize. And everybody, in fact, when me, what's he apologizing for? And I said, our projection was that we were going to hit an 89. I said, I'm sorry, we were wrong in that, and we hit a 90, and they just went bananas. It was incredible, and truly one of the red letter days of my career. So,
well, congratulations, not
you.
just to you, but obviously everybody.
It's the hard work of the teachers, the instructional coaches, and those paraprofessionals, even down to the cafeteria members and the custodians. If the building's not clean, then the kids are going to be sick. They can't be there. If they're not well fed, then we can't teach them in class. It is a team effort.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Last question, plans for this year?
Yeah. Hey, we're going to run it back. These systems that we put in place, they're good systems. They showed growth, and now people believe. So the question really is, how high can we take this thing?
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.